Hello everyone, Lewis from Songbird Studios here with a bit of a different sort of video. This is sort of a speculation slash theory video, but not really. I'm not entirely sure how to describe this, and I'm completely unscripted here if you can't tell. This is a sort of thing I've done in a way to kind of promote the work of a good friend of the channel, Python Movies Productions, who has recently teased his own sort of Dinosaur Island / Prehistoric Valley type series called Songbird Sanctuary. I did give him a shout out in a community post, but I still feel like this series and his channel isn't getting as much attention as it deserves, and for that reason I've decided to make this video partially to sort of promote his very impressive work, but also just because I kind of am really hyped for this series and I just wanted an excuse to talk about it. So, for those of you who don't know what Songbird Sanctuary is, it's a sort of Dinosaur Island type show, right? Like if you like Prehistoric Valley, which is what I do on my channel, there's a good chance you might be interested in this, and you might have seen like Mesozoic Isle or Isle of the Mesozoic or Dinosaur Island itself. This series you might not have heard of because Python's quite a small channel, but like I said, I'm pretty hyped for this. I think there's a lot of potential here. It seems like a very, very well thought out, planned series from what he's been hinting at. And with his Archosaur Archives series, which is just sort of random one-off short films set in the Mesozoic, he's already proven that he's pretty decent at puppeting and editing and camera work, so credit is, give credit where it's due there. But anyway, how do I put this? Again, I'm completely unscripted here. This video is just going to be going off everything that he has revealed about this and maybe go into some theories about it. So let's start with what we know. So this is the map of the island. It's somewhere in the Pacific, allegedly. The lore for the reasons behind there being dinosaurs there is allegedly quite similar to sort of MI or IOTM, which I think pretty much confirms that these dinosaurs are man-made. Like, let's be honest, this pretty much confirms that. Going into a bit more detail on the map, some of these locations he has confirmed probably won't appear, like the missing piece, the wall. There's definitely some locations, I can't remember all of them, but he confirmed that some of them probably won't appear. But the main ones are the conifer forest, the primal plains, and the Great Southern Jungle. I might talk a bit more about the map when we get to some theories, but for now, let's go over the confirmed species. The animals currently confirmed for Songbird Sanctuary are Zuniceratops, which I believe is what we saw in the teaser video. Then we have the 3 apex species, like the top of the food chain, which are Eocarcharia, Dryptosaurus, and Carnotaurus. Now, one thing you might immediately notice about that is, compared to the carnivores in a lot of other Dinosaur Island type shows, these 3 being the biggest is quite exceptional, as in they're all quite small. None of them gets over 3 tons? Like, certainly none of them's a megatheropod. That would be over 5 tons if you ask me. 2 species which might be confirmed, he mentioned them on a stream, but that was a while ago, are Monolophosaurus, which allegedly are more omnivorous in this. They eat fruit quite a lot, and Xenotarasaurus, which are apparently pack hunters in this. Again, I have no idea if he scrapped those ideas, but he mentioned them on a stream a while back. Moving on to some confirmed characters now, we have these 3 Deinonychus, who are played by a Schleich figure, a Papo figure, and a Safari Mini. Their names, I believe, are Tobias, Helen, and Sophia. Sophia being the baby one. She was named by Giganotoraptor 2014, I believe. We also have a character called Nightmare. We don't know anything about him or her. We don't even know that. We don't know what species, what figure. All we know is there's a character called Nightmare. So yeah, there's that. Next, we have Hermes, who is a Zuniceratops. Again, I'm not sure if he's the one in the teaser footage. I don't know, it could be him, I'm not sure. I'm assuming that figure is a repainted figure, because I don't recognise it. Anyway, well, we do know a bit more about him, which I'll get into when we get into the theories. And speaking of characters, which I'll cover more in the theories, we have Ace, the Eocarcharia. Absolutely no relation to the Allosaurus from PV, to my knowledge at least. He's pretty much all but confirmed to be played by the Safari Giga. In fact, yeah, he is confirmed to be played by the Safari Giga. I'm pretty sure Python confirmed that. But obviously, because it's in 1/18 scale, it's a much smaller Eocarcharia, a much smaller Carcharodontosaurid. And that's kind of where we get into some of the theories. So I had a bit of a conversation with Python, and I'll put the screenshot on screen now. But we know that his appearance is changed somewhat by the end of his arc this season. What was it Python said? I'm not looking at it right now, even though it'll be on screen. That he starts out practically untouched, which pretty much confirms that by the end of his arc he won't be. Now that to me suggests one of two things. He either changes his colour as he ages, which I doubt, or he's going to receive some kind of injury, some kind of scar. He's probably going to go through some sort of big fight or traumatic experience. I'm not entirely sure what sort, because for a start we don't know if he's a protagonist or an antagonist. But yeah, I think he's going to go through something that will alter his physical appearance greatly. We then circle back to Hermes, who is the other character to have some of his story arc hinted at. As you can see in this document here, it says, Hermes ended up the last survivor of his herd and appears greatly mentally damaged. I suspect that is something we're going to see in the series. If I had to guess, that might even be episode 1, where maybe that's where we see the rest of his herd die. I would not be surprised if it ends up being a bit like Isle of the Mesozoic with Mancy's storyline there. I would not be surprised by that. I would not even be surprised if it's the first scene of episode 1. It's also possible that might happen before the series starts and we just meet him when he's alone, or that could happen later in the series. I don't know. My final sort of set of theories revolves around the map here. First of all, I think there's a very high chance that Irritator will appear in the show, because there's a place called Lake Irritator, and I know Python likes his Spinosaurids. The shield regions, I'm going to guess, either have a lot of Ankylosaurs or a lot of Ceratopsians, because shield, that's just kind of what makes sense to me. And my final theory is going to regard sort of the ecosystem of the island, or perhaps the islands, because as you can see, the island is very clearly split into 3 distinct chunks, which is interesting because quite a lot of DI type shows split their location into 2, like Prehistoric Valley is split into east and west, Dinosaur Island north and south. And we also, let's think, what do we know real quick, ecosystem-wise? We know the island is split into 3 distinct areas. We also know that there are 3 apex predators. 1 per each section of the island, maybe? I don't know. If I had to take a guess, I'm going to take a really wild guess here and say Dryptosaurus in the north, Carnotaurus in the middle, and Eocarcharia in the south. My reason being that based on what very little we know of those locations, those seem to fit the animals' natural habitats in the Mesozoic, as far as I know, the best. I don't know. It makes sense that the fast one, which would be Carnotaurus, would be on the open plains to me, and it makes more sense to me to have a Tyrannosaur living with a Ceratopsian than a Carcharodontosaurid. And we know Zuniceratops is in the north, but then again, the southern part's called the shield regions, which could well refer to Ceratopsians. So it's kind of hard to tell, but I dare say we'll find out eventually. So with that, I'm going to end this video. Are you hyped for Songbird Sanctuary? And what are your thoughts about the show? Do you think it'll be able to stand up to the likes of DI and MI and IOTM? I think there's an above zero chance that it could. I see a lot of potential in this. But with that, I'm going to end this video. Everyone, please go sub to Python. Scrubwood Studios, signing out.